Okay, we are now recording. I'm excited. I'm just going to do a quick little intro. In the body of the calendar appointment team, there's also some websites about Cindy. I've known Cindy going on probably, oh my goodness, 18 years-ish,
Yeah.
give or take. And back in the day, Cindy and I, my very first real hands-on experience with Cindy, we were on a top producer retreat in Mexico, and she was sitting next to me as we started talking, and all I remember is like, wow, she's smart. Oh my God, hold on, I need to sit up straight. This is like, wow. And so she was just crushing Southern California and Manhattan Beach. And if you read her bio, I mean, she's an expert at team building, an expert at relationships, an expert at really scaling your business. And she's created this amazing coaching platform. And so I wanted to just take an opportunity to leverage her time for the team and introduce. And with that, Cindy, if you can walk us through, what are you up to, best practices? If I'm a loan officer in today's market, knowing what you know, what should I be doing?
Can I share screen, Eric?
You may.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had access to that. Well, good morning. It's so good to be with you all. And please feel free, like I'm all about interaction. So I'm going to share a few things that I have planned for you this morning, but please, if you're having any particular challenges, with your team or anything specific you want to ask me, this time is for you. So please don't hesitate to raise your hand or interrupt me or pop something in the chat. All right. Because I really like interaction and I'm here to help in any way that I can. So, I had a, 30-year career as a major originator, built my own personal production to 200 million here in Southern California, and managed a very large office here in SoCal and Manhattan Beach. We had 32 LOs in my branch and 65 employees. And then my partner and I built Southern California for a national mortgage bank. And so I have done sort of all aspects of the mortgage business and served on an executive leadership team. But my passion for the last many, many years has really been helping people grow. Eric and I were on the faculty of Loan Toolbox together for many years, and we did a lot of teaching and training and educating. So kind of my philosophy was I would create some great training or something that was working in my own business, and I would test it first to make sure it worked with my realtor partners or referral partners and my clients. Then I would roll it out to the branch, and then a month later, I would roll it out nationally to Loan Toolbox. And so I just really became passionate about helping people grow in any way that they can. So we kind of meet people where they're at. And, the majority of my clients in my high-end program, Mortgage Mastermind Elite, are originating branch managers. And then I have another program I'll speak to in a little bit. But I wanted to share just a couple of things that I think might be helpful. So let me jump on here. One of the things that I always start with, can you see that, Eric?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I love to do this with my coaching clients like once a quarter. And I will send these off to you all as well, Eric, so you can distribute them.
Thank you.
But I think it's just a really great exercise to really look at your business as a whole. And first of all, assess kind of where do you want to grow and, kind of rate yourself as to how you feel you're doing in certain key areas of your business. So these are the areas that I want you to look at today. And you might just want to take some notes, but again, I'll give you this format as well. But I want you to just rate yourself from like 0 to 10 on these different categories. We'll go through them together. And then I want you to, most importantly, look at kind of your lowest score. And you can just write your scores on a piece of paper right now and just tell the truth, because this is all about you and this is how we grow. And usually what I recommend is we really look most deeply at your lowest scores. So rate yourself on the number of referral partners that you have. Do you really feel like you've got a solid base of committed referral partners? As someone who built a business to 200 million, I was always about creating more growth and always building new referral partners, because we know some people move on, some people retire. So, every part of my week, I had designated time where I was focused on growth and building new referral partnerships. So again, 0 being you're not satisfied, 10 being that you are satisfied with your solid referral partner base. Your personal production levels, like obviously coming off 2020 when production levels were obviously at an all-time high. Many of my clients had doubled and tripled their production in that year. So many people, couldn't even come up for air. 2021 has also been a great year, but obviously a little bit of correction. And now we're going into, without question, a major purchase market. So where do you want to be? Are you happy with your current production levels? Are you still looking to grow? Some of the people that I coach are like, don't teach me how to do more business. I just need to have a life, because they're top producers and they have no structure. They don't have the right team, or maybe they're not all rowing in the same direction. So we really work on creating systems and process to help them really have more of a life. Your compelling client experience. I know that in 2020, that kind of went out the window on many levels because we were just trying to keep our head above water, right? And just trying to get things through the system in a timely manner. So, a lot of marketing and customer experience kind of went out the window, but we're back in a time where we really need to focus on that because we're going big into a purchase market. And that's really how, you keep the consistency of income and production, is to keep us focused on the purchase market at all times. So are you happy with your compelling client experience, or do you need to create one? And I've got a couple of people that train for me that have extraordinary customer experiences. And I'm like, well, maybe you add one or two things to your current, customer flow so that you take it up just a notch to make, a little bit more of a wow impression. Do you have marketing execution? Are you marketing to your referral partners and your past client database, consistently? Many people just threw marketing to the wind over the last year and a half, and it's time to get back to creating a marketing plan. And I love simple execution of simple things. We do a lot of communication about, whether it be lunch and learn topics, ways to do real estate masterminds, ways to build financial planner relationships, divorce attorney relationships. So there's lots of ways to build, your business through great marketing execution. And then your time, energy, and productivity. Do you feel like you manage your time really well? And many people, in our business, as gets very focused on being in their business and not working on their business. One of my clients is a top producer in Denver. I was coaching her yesterday. She's about 180 million and she runs a branch. And I was so proud of her yesterday because she has completely shifted in the last year from working in her day-to-day business to getting her team dialed in. And now she spends almost 100% of her time really working on relationship development and income generating activities. And her business has just gone through the roof, and she's having so much fun because it makes it more fun when you're working on it than we're in the nitty gritty of the day-to-day. And then, do you have a high impact team? Obviously not everybody has a team, but most people have some layer of support, and particularly as the whole goal here is to build our business to a place where we need a team to support us. So I do a lot of education around hiring strategies, not only how to hire the right people, but how to utilize them correctly and set proper expectations and kind of build the team vision together so that, you can actually get out of the day-to-day and really focus on what matters most. And then, are you taking care of yourself? It's the first thing that goes by the wayside, right? And I know a lot of people through 2020 and part of 21 were putting themselves last. And I'm like, hey, put yourself first, because without your health, we have nothing. And so I gained 15 pounds over COVID sitting here behind the screen. And I hired a trainer at the beginning of this year. And I'm like, I am not putting my health on the back burner anymore. I'm getting myself into shape. I've lost the weight and I feel 1,000 times better. So how is your self-care? Rate yourself from 0 to 10. And in terms of work-life balance, have you established non-negotiables for your business and for your life? Raising 3 children, having a husband, running a branch, running a region, and being a top producer, there's a lot of constraints on your time. So we've got to really get intentional about how you're spending your time and very intentional about what your non-negotiables are. So one of my non-negotiables was dinner with my children every night. I was home by 7 o'clock and I had dinner as a family. And my children would tell you they used to go, Mom, like, we're the only family that has dinner together. But that was a non-negotiable for me because I worked a lot of hours. And we took a 2-week family vacation every summer. My kids have been to islands all over the world because I was too tired to sightsee. But the reality is it was a non-negotiable. And so what non-negotiables have you created for your life? Or maybe you could do a better job of setting yourself up as a priority. So I just want you to rate yourself on those. When you get the exercise, It'll then ask you to go through and just come up with one action step, one simple action step that you can take to raise your score. So I would love for your brave souls that are on this call to throw into the chat, what are a couple of your lowest scores? Because we all have them. One of my top producers that I coach, when she filled this out, she ranked herself a 3 in most of the categories, and she's a $150 million a year producer. So, we all have ability to grow in all these areas. So, when you get this exercise, take a few minutes and complete it and think about, maybe you really do need to create some work-life balance. Maybe you're getting home at 8 and 9 o'clock at night, or you're not spending any time with your children. Maybe you really need to get more productive and get out of the day-to-day. And we work a lot on that in terms of coaching.
Cindy, can I jump in and ask a question? Can you scroll up to the previous page for a quick second?
Yeah.
So if I'm a loan officer, back down.
Okay.
So one action item. So I'm a loan officer and I'm working with you, and I want to get more referral partners. Other than giving me the standard cliche, call 50 realtors, blah, 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 right? What would be a unique strategy that you've seen from your clients or in the marketplace to go out and get more quality referral partners? Can you give us an example of like one nugget of, hey, I saw this and I thought it was really good?
You would think we actually set this up and you just prepared me for what I was going to share next, but so I'm going to go to my next exercise, which is one of my core strategies on how to build referral partners. And look, we know it's not that easy. I have 4 or 5 really incredible strategies that, we have a lot of proof in the results that people have created. One of the strategies, I'm not training it today because it's about an hour training in and of itself, called connection to conversion, but that's 40 quality questions to ask a realtor or referral partner. And it's a different way of conducting a first meeting, but that is an incredible strategy. And that helped one of my clients, Tom Couture from Lubbock, Texas, go from 40 million, which he couldn't break through. Second, he was with me for 2 years in my high-level mastermind. He went from 40 million to 58 million, and then from 58 to 132 million in 2020. And that was his goal. He knew he was a $100 million a year producer, but he had to figure out how to get there. And that was one of the things that really elevated him in his own business. This is a strategy that many of you probably used before, but maybe not with intention. So I'm going to really suggest, and I can promise you, this is a strategy I've used personally. I continue to use it because I have a team that took over my production about 8 years ago when I launched my coaching and training company. But this one just rolls off my tongue now. I don't even need a script to do it. It's so simple. And I love simple strategies that work. So I'm going to encourage you to realize that you may not be tapping in to your existing network appropriately like you should. And many of us have way more connections around us and we're not tapping into them with intention. So this strategy is very simple. And I promise you, if you actually execute on it, you will get incredible results. So I want you to really think about, it could be realtors, it could be financial planners, it could be anyone that's a referral partner for you, a CPA, it doesn't have to be a realtor. But I did it with realtors when I created the strategy, and I created it for one of my clients in Huntington Beach. The market had started to bump up. This was about 3 years ago. And she got scared because she was primarily a refi originator. And she only had 4 or 5 realtor partners, but she was afraid of realtors and did not want to cold call people. So she wasn't going to do it. So we came up with this warm call strategy, and I tested it out first. And basically, I want you to write down 5 realtors or referral partners that know, like, and trust you. So most of you, because I know many of you are branch managers, have 5 people that know, like, and trust you. And look, if you don't have realtors, maybe it's a client that had an amazing experience or they're a great professional. You can use your clients as well, but write down 5 people who know, like, and trust you. The key is this: we're just going to call those people and we're going to use a script, something like this. So this is the script that I actually used. Obviously, tweak it so that it feels comfortable for you. Hi, Bob. This is Cindy Ertman. I wanted to reach out to you because we value you greatly as our trusted referral partner and appreciate our relationship with you more than you know. Our team is looking to expand our realtor referral business this year. So even though the refinance market has been strong year to date, we pride ourselves in helping our clients secure their dream of homeownership. and would like to serve more buyers this year. We value our relationship with you and wondered if you could recommend a couple of quality realtors who could benefit from the same kind of service that you've experienced in working with our team. We are not looking for quantity, we are looking for quality. We would greatly appreciate it if you could help us by recommending a couple of realtors that might benefit from our service. So I want to just share with you here for a quick minute what actually happened the first time I used the strategy. I called Tara Klein here, who was a relatively newer agent in Manhattan Beach, but she had just moved to Sotheby's, and I had kind of helped her get started in the business, took a liking to her. She had that it factor, so she was worth my time to pour into. I called Tara and I used the script and I said, you know, we love you as a referral partner. You're awesome. And I know you just went to Sotheby's. You know, Stephanie and I want to grow our business. We want to grow our realtor partners. And is there anyone that you really know, like, and trust now at Sotheby's since you made the move? No joke. She said, well, I'm sitting in a pod with 3 other realtors, and Sarah just closed 3 deals this week, and she's like a rock star. And she goes, yeah, I'll introduce you to them. And I said, oh my gosh, Tara, that'd be great. And I said, would you mind texting me their contact info? And she's like, yeah. And I said, can I use your name? And she said, she's like, sure. Because she likes and trusts me, right? So then 10 minutes later, Tara calls me and she goes, I got a better idea. Why don't you just call them and invite them to lunch, and I'll get them to go and we'll all go. And I did just that. And within a week, I had 4 realtors out to lunch by just making one call to Tara. And we still work with 2 of those realtors today. So then I called a developer here in town, and everybody loves him. He does have his license held with a real estate company. Dennis Maloney is liked and trusted here, and we've been friends for a lot of years. And I called Dennis and I took Dennis to lunch. During lunch, I said, you know, Dennis, how much we value you and how much you're a trusted referral partner, and everyone respects you in this community. Who do you know that I could connect with that could benefit from our service? We're just looking for a couple of new partners. He gave me 8 people at that lunch, and I knew 3 of them, but he gave me 8 people because we had a relationship already, and people actually want to help. And I did. The only negative is I had one realtor that I called that said, well, I'm afraid if I give you more people, then maybe if you get a client referral, you're not going to refer it to me. And I said, well, exactly the opposite. Candidly, I said the opposite is going to occur, because if you help me build my business, you're going to be the top of my list to get my referral. So I just want to, I want to just reiterate that this would mean the world to us for you to help us. So if you call 5 people, and I will tell you, I don't let them off the phone that easy if they say, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. So this is what I say. I go, well, just think about, is there anybody in your office that you have great respect for, that you know, like, and trust? Or is there anyone that you've been in a transaction with that may not be in your office that you think really did a great job and that knows their stuff? I'm sure you know a couple of great people that I could lob a call to. I just want to say hello and introduce myself, and it would mean the world to me if you'd give me a couple of names that I could reach out to. I have used this even with the same realtor over and over and over. There's a realtor friend of mine. We go out to dinner probably once a month. I have asked Anne probably 6 or 7 times. And she just laughs. She goes, I know you're going to ask me the question, right? But I mean, seriously, it actually works. So I'm going to go back to share screen to show you the kind of the second part of the script here. So then basically the key is then you've got to call that realtor, right? If you don't call the referral partners, clearly the strategy doesn't work. So then you've got to make the next call. And again, keep in mind, someone that knows, likes, and trusts them and respects them has given you this recommendation. So I'll just say, hi, Lynn, this is Cindy Ertman. I just got off the phone with Bob Smith. Bob has been a valued referral partner of ours for many years. Obviously, tell him what you do and who you're with for many years. And I had shared with Bob that we were looking to expand our realtor partners this year, since our passion is helping our buyers secure their dream of homeownership. I asked Bob who he trusts and values doing business with and who might benefit from the service we provide. He gave me your name as someone he deeply respects, trusts, and values. He recommends His recommendation holds a lot of weight with our team. So I wanted to reach out to you personally to see if we could meet to connect for a virtual coffee appointment in the next week, or, meet with them live, whatever you're doing in your marketplace. I'd love to learn just a little bit more about you and your business. Now, I do pour it on a little thick that this realtor has really given them a rave recommendation. We have an incredible relationship with Dennis, and Dennis had said that he loves working with you, and he really suggested we give you a call. And look, the only thing that I've gotten, and we get it, obviously you've gotten it when you call a new realtor, is some of them will say, well, I already have a long-term relationship with my lender. And that's fine. To which I respond, hey, Len, I value long-term trusted partnerships more than you know. And in my experiences, in our current lending environment, it's difficult to find one lender that can serve all of your clients' mortgage needs. So I'd still welcome a short appointment to meet you and have the opportunity to be your second choice lender, or at least be a secondary referral choice should your clients request more than one recommendation. And for that, I always am about value propositions. So in my coaching practice, we have created all kinds of value propositions that, clients can actually give to their referral partners, 50 ways for realtors to market their business. We've got all kinds of tools where you can actually give them something of value so they want to meet with you, right? Because that's the key, is we want to create value to help them build and grow their business. I built my business of helping other people become successful. It was never about what I could do for them in terms of, rates, price, program. Obviously, we've got to be competitive and have all that. But I was always focused on what can I really do to help you be successful? So I would love it, and Eric, maybe you can help people stay accountable to trying this strategy, because it's really a great way to get in front of people and get some meetings and start to build that momentum as, we finish out the year. And I really want everybody to start 2022, really strong.
So this is an amazing strategy to go out and get more realtors very quickly, right? It's something someone could do today and get more realtors today, right? I mean, that's quick, fast, easy, simple. It's compelling. I love it. Can we also talk about one of the other categories?
Absolutely.
So maybe team or execution, or
let's talk about team.
Yeah, so I'll tell you right now, there are many managers on our platform that struggle in the team category, whether it be finding and training a loan coordinator, finding and training a processor, training and then retaining talented, quality people, right? Because the market is just so bloody with, people stealing people from other mortgage companies, and we're just as guilty. And so if I'm a producing branch manager or a non-producing branch manager, give us a couple of nuggets as to best practices to find, train, and retain quality support staff.
Well, it's without a doubt the number one thing that I coach around, because, even if you build the team, then we've got to be able to utilize the team, right? And then you've got to build systems and processes, which, our companies have systems and processes, but we as originators need to have clear systems and processes too, and a team that understands what those are. So there's a lot of layers to this, but, I start with one of my trainings is I'm interviewing executive assistants right now for myself, and I never waver on my hiring practices ever. And it's that single thing. Now, granted, I helped many people build teams within my region, hired hundreds of people. So I learned to do it right by doing it wrong. So I use DISC 2.0. I do a DISC profile on 100% of the people I hire in any position. I am a DISC master. I have mastered DISC profiles for all the different positions in the mortgage space. So we know that if you are looking for a loan coordinator or an LOA to support an originator or branch manager, the thing I look for is you don't want to hire a really high D as a support person. Like mid-tier D is great, or a little bit below mid is great. The I is the influencer skill. That's the people part. So if they're going to be talking to your clients, and most loan coordinators do, they do need to have some I, because it is 100% true. When you look at a disc profile and the I is all the way at the bottom, they want to stamp, they want to email your client. They don't want to pick up the phone and talk to them. Like, it is so true. The S is support. You know, you want someone that wants to support you in your business. And look, some people hire like junior LOs to be their support. I say, do not do it. It's a huge mistake, because they don't want to be in that role. I hired career LOAs. There's an LOA at my old office right now, Amber. I ran into her this weekend at the grocery store. She's been there 19 years supporting the same two top producers. And she said to me on Sunday, 19 years into that position, my job is to make our clients love them. That's my job. And she loves her lane. Like, she's been in that lane for a long time. Mine worked for me at least 10 to 12 years at a time. So we want to hire career LOAs, and they have to be high C. That is detail and organization, which is an absolute must. So a lot of when my clients are working with me, I send them my disc profile link, they order it, they send it back to me. We look at the resume, and then I have hiring and interview questions. And I do reference checks on every single person. It's non-negotiable. And who they give me as references is key. If they can't give me any of the bosses they worked for, and they're just giving me coworkers, they're out. You know, I just did an employment verification this week on a woman I wanted to hire. She told me she had 3 years at her prior job. We did the employment verification. She worked there 4 days. Like, trust is my number one value. So first of all, you got to hire the right people. And then we've got to set them up for your expectation. And I always say, look, the expectation is within 90 to 120 days, when they get up to speed, that they are going to take you from contract to close. They are going to drive the process. And I will tell you, I didn't get to 200 million by being in the files myself. I mean, I remember we were using Point at the time as our LOS system. I hadn't taken a loan app in 15 years because it wasn't the highest and best use of my time. Now you have electronic links. We didn't have that for many of the years that I was in the business. But the reality is, like, I got really clear on my lane. And for me, I really encourage you guys to think about, what pieces pie do you want to play? My role was build realtor relationships, number one, because they were my biggest referral source. Build deep, sustainable relationship with my clients by over delivering and having a compelling client experience. I wanted to structure deals. I had a lot of self-employed high net worth borrowers. I wanted to structure deals. I was great at it. I wanted to lock the loan and toss the ball. My favorite line was at the end of every pre-qual conversation was, let me tell you how our team works. And I told my clients what they could expect. I'm going to turn you over to Carrie Benowitz. She's my rock star loan coordinator. Her job is to take your loan through the process, through the conveyor belt of the day-to-day. And this is what we need from you, Mr. Borrower. When we ask for documentation or Carrie reaches out to you, I need you to get it back to me within 24 hours. I know it's hard, but can I have your commitment to do that? My job is to do my daily pipeline review with Carrie every single morning. I know exactly where your file is, and I'm the mortgage solution specialist. If we have any hiccups or problems, that's where I step in to solve the problem. But we want to make this as painless, as simple as we can for you. So again, hiring the right people, and then right now we got to motivate them. We've got to inspire them. We have to hold them accountable. We got to create a vision, and we create some systems and processes. And one of my clients right now that's co-coaching with me, my current Mortgage Mastermind Elite group, has built an incredible system and process. And so she's coaching pretty much everybody in my 15-person group right now on building their own system and process so that everybody knows what their lane is. And the beautiful thing when you do that too, if someone leaves, you know exactly what their job responsibilities are. And most people don't have it mapped out. But I got 3 texts in the last week saying, this is changing my world, completely changing the world. Because now there's finally a system and a process, and it makes everything run smoother. So you can't do it all in a day. It's a process of building it out, but it's not as hard as we think. So it's about, having a plan. Fortunately, someone else has created this plan, right? And then you can pick the parts of it that you want to execute on. So it's helpful to have a plan and have people know their lanes, and also really identifying what it is that you need. because sometimes we think we need another LOA and maybe that's not what we need. Maybe we need an executive assistant that can ultimately take over managing our email. My top producing clients get to a place, most of them, where they hire an executive assistant who takes over their email, and that saves them 2 hours a day. They're on a need to know basis, and they only hire, one of my clients right now is in Virginia. Tony's about a $90 million a year producer, and he was so afraid to take that step. But he called me 2 months ago and he goes, Cindy, he goes, I'm kind of afraid because my clients aren't calling me anymore and it feels really strange. And I said, well, what kind of reviews are you getting? He goes, we're getting all 5-star reviews and everybody loves Kristen and Sandy. And I said, I knew I arrived when my LOA was getting the thank you gifts at the end and not me. And that's what we want. We got to get out of our ego and let somebody else drive it day to day and focus on building relationship, building client experience, and you will build a very successful business. I teach, probably the number one thing is teach people how to let go. So it's not all about them. And that's the only way you can scale, right, Eric? I know you know that.
And it's so funny that there's a couple of control freaks on the call, and I'm watching them smirk as you're describing. Because they're like, is she talking about me? Did Eric say something?
100%. Look, great LOAs are all control freaks, and I hear it over and over and over. I'm like, of course you are. One of the first gifts I give my Mortgage Mastermind Elite group is a stuffed monkey that says, do not take the monkey back. Once we give the monkey to our LOA, we do not take the monkey back. But, we have to train ourselves. And look, one of the women that wrote the Process and Flow, Stacia Weishauer, who's coaching for me now, but she's a $160 million a year producer, and she's only been in the mortgage business for 5 years. But she's an anomaly, but she's incredible. But she was the biggest control freak on the planet. I have coached Stacia for 3 years, and she now has a team, an executive assistant that manages her email. She has a production partner and 2 LOAs, and she's a flipping rock star. And she has a life. She's homeschooling 2 children as we speak. And I talked to her this morning, and she has enough time to coach half of my, 15 people in MME, because we co-coach together. So she has created space, and she had no space 3 years ago. And she'll had about 190 million this year. So it's fun when you have a great team. One of my clients, Dan White, is in Phoenix, Arizona. And when Dan joined, he was doing about 6 to 7 loans a month. And he was burnt out. He was not having a great time anymore. He didn't have the right team. He had the wrong production partner. And he had pumped a ton of money into lead generation, which did not work at all. He said he lit 36,000 of his money on fire. So he goes, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to do this high level program. So he did. And he just led a training call for me last week. This was 3 years ago. I've coached him ever since. And he's doing 20 to 25 loans consistently, has an incredible team, just took over sales management role for a large branch. And he has fun. Like, he loves his business and he has a life, just bought a second home in Laguna Beach. So it really is possible, you guys. There is a different way we can do business. And it's really the fun part of getting intentional. And lastly, Eric, really quick, I just want to I'll give this to you. This is a very, 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 very simple plan here. I do a much deeper goal plan in my high level groups, just because I think I'm a big fan of going deep on goals and having some accountability around it. But this is a really, really simple plan that if all you do is look at this last quarter of the year and just think about, what are 3 business goals? If all you're doing is focusing on business goals right now, what are 3 goals that you want to achieve between now and the end of the year? Or maybe going into early 2022. But the key here is to think a little bit bigger and go back and look at the mortgage satisfaction assessment and say, where am I missing? Where am I missing the ball? And maybe, where you need to grow in a bigger way. And I'll tell you, talking to my client, Michelle, yesterday, who's like, I'm starting a Realtor Mastermind group, and I have a whole training around how to lead a Realtor Mastermind group. What are your topics that you're going to speak to? Eric, our dear friend Jeremy Forcier, like he does his real estate mastermind group, and I love it. He just calls it Coffee with Jeremy. He does it once a month. I mean, how easy is that? You know, it can be coffee with Mark, coffee with Justin, coffee with Elizabeth, right? It's just simple. And, you know, you invite 10 to 20 people, you talk a little bit, you do an update for 15 minutes, and then you ask a question to the group. What are the biggest challenges you're having in your business right now? What do you see happening in the real estate market over the next 12 months? What are you doing to market your business? Just facilitate a mastermind conversation. And we make this a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Things can actually be very simple, but we just have to do it. You know, if you guys want and you had this top 5 realtor referral plan, I did it I called all 5 in 1 hour. I called all 5 people. Leave a compelling message. Don't tell them why you're calling. Just say, hey, Dennis referred me. I have something I'd really like to share with you. He said you were amazing. Give me a call back. I'd love to connect with you for just a couple minutes. And if they don't call you back, then text them or email. I only wait 2 days if someone doesn't call me back, and I go another way. And usually I'll start with a phone call. Sometimes I'll follow up with an email. And what I would always do is by the 6th day, if I didn't hear back, I would text them and say, and by the way, I'm just going to hound you till you call me back. So, you know, you might as well just call me back. And then they would laugh, and they would. And I go, lots of laughs, because like, we don't have to make it so serious all the time. They're people, right? So I want you to think about, and if we want to open this up, and then action steps, like what do you have to do to actually create that? And in my groups, we create accountability teams, and we help each other stay on track to actually accomplish the goals. There's a lot of statistical evidence around those people that share their goals. I trained in 2009 with Jack Canfield, who wrote all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And Jack is very big on goals. And, you know, you write down your goals, you share your goals, you get accountability teams to keep you on track for your goals. And my 90-day plan, if you look at that plan every day, I mean, almost every single person by the end of that 90 days has accomplished their health goals, because it gives you the roadmap to stay on track. And the energy is around sharing them. If we keep them to ourselves, I mean, first of all, 90% of people don't write down goals. So if you write them down, that's kind of the first step. But really the key is in sharing the goals and putting energy around the goals. And things start to happen. You create momentum, and we know that momentum builds momentum, right? So we just got to get that ball rolling.
So Cindy, I've got several questions.
Yes.
So what do you say to a manager that says, I don't need to disprofile potential team members because I just know?
Because we don't know. I'll tell you, I would think I know because I've looked at hundreds of them. And when I got the one back from the one I wanted to hire this last week, I was shocked. Her D was all the way at the top. It said she was demanding, she was forceful, she was non-budging, she was that to me, like, that says a lot. Her S was all the way at the bottom. She was also an actress at a period in her life, so I think she was really good at telling me what I wanted to hear. But I really have learned to trust the DISC profile, because I learned a very valuable lesson early on in my career. I hired one LOA. I ran a massive business. I needed somebody like all in, and I hired an amazing LOA that I loved. Like, I loved her. But you know what? She was just like me. That's why I loved her. She was like energetic and delightful and a great smile. Zero organizational skills. This is before I was doing DISC profiles. And from then I learned, not going to hire people I like. Hopefully I like them too. But I'm going to hire people based on their skill, their references, and their skill set, and the DISC profile. And it has served me and my clients like nobody's business.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know the story about me with Lisa, right? Lisa scored a 99S and a 99C. Got the resume, got the DISC profile. I didn't even interview her. I just hired her. The DISC profile came in. I saw 99S, 99C. I hired her. Her first day on the job was a Craig Proctor Super Conference. I met my new assistant at a Craig Proctor Super Conference. She came in and she was like, how do you hire someone without talking to them? I said, I don't need to talk to you. You're a 99S, 99C. You're good. I don't, right? And that was 3 years ago. And any of you that have had any interaction with Lisa, right? How long does it take her to respond to your emails? 30 seconds,
Yeah,
maybe
bad.
60 seconds on a bad day, right? Like that, like, but understanding that when you disprofile people and you understand their engine and what their strengths are, but at the same time, if you ask Lisa, hey, Lisa, let's you and I go have a cup of coffee. So what's it like to work with Eric? Oh, Eric's crazy. Eric's, oh my God, he's all over the place, right? Because in her world, right, I'm scattered because she's a 99S, 99C. And so sometimes she and I have to figure out how to talk to each other because we're complete opposite ends of the scale, right? But that's what you need on your team is people not like you, not like you.
No,
Not like them, but not like you.
Completely to your weakness. And LOs, if you're a great LO, I mean, a traditional disc profile for an LO, and it's not true 100% of the time, but is a DI. My mortgage partner was a DI. So she leads with dominant and drive. So like she would always say, Cindy's the nice one. She was a little demanding. My processor didn't like working with her. You know, it was like hard because she was a driver and she was smart and did a great job and won her business off on delivery. I'm an ID. I lead with heart, right? And so, you know, I'm a people person, but I also have tremendous drive. But if you look at a typical disc profile for a top producer, their S and their C are at the bottom, which is why we need high S and Cs to support. We need exactly the opposite of us. So it's, and it is miraculous to see what happens when people build the right team. Like it changes the game. Quick story. I had a woman I was coaching here in Southern California. I actually had recruited her to my company and I loved her, but she could not break 40 million, no matter what she did, 38 million. And I knew she came with her LOA. And so she had not disc profiled her. So I said, all right, this is the deal. Two things. We're going to send your assistant, Jana. We're going to disc profile her. And you're going to ask her what she loves about her job and what she doesn't like about her job. And I want you to send me that response. So we ran the disc profile and her S was low and her C was low. I'm like, she's never going to get you there ever. And they'd become best friends. So we got the list of what she loved and what she didn't love. And everything she didn't love was the role of a loan coordinator or LOA. So clearly I just said, you know, Nicole, you have to make a choice. You're running a business. Do you want to work with your best friend and just stay put? Because that's exactly where you're going to be. Or we've got to help her along. We can help her land safely in a different role. And you got to hire a full-blown rock star LOA. And she did. She had to do the right thing. And it's hard because she really cared about her, helped her get another job in a better role. She became a junior processor, definitely a better role for her. And Nicole got a great LOA and she's about a $90 million a year producer today. So it makes a massive difference to get the right people. And sometimes like some of the people I coach have fairly large teams, not all, but a lot of times we disc profile the whole team and we've moved people around. It's like, that person would be way better as your front end LOA talking to clients because her eye's high. The person you have talking to clients, their eye's all the way at the bottom. Maybe you should move her. We just had one flip-flop their processor and their LOA. And it's working out like night and day.
And what happens to the people when you do that? Do you find that they're happier now that they're repositioned into doing things that they love doing?
Yeah, and it's always the way in which we do it, right? There's a lot of messaging that in the way in which we move people. But typically what happens is you're setting people up for their natural talents, their natural strengths. So does anyone else, did any of you guys have any questions? Any challenges you want to share?
Justin, you've got a big team. How's your team?
Well, first and foremost, we use DISC on every single person that we actually, even before we actually meet with them. The last person that we hired, she's actually training right now. She's brand new in the business. Actually, exactly that though, high I and high C, which, you know, that tells me that she's going to be a good LOA. And so we've just trained her from the ground up. And you know, so it doesn't even, it's, in my opinion, it's so powerful that it trumps experience by far, because you could have a really good experienced person that have really bad habits. And so that's my take on it. Like I'm all for it. So
Great job.
actually even loan officers too. And you're right, you know, a loan officer has to have a really, really high D, especially if they're brand new in the business. If they don't, then you're wasting your time with them. Forget about it.
You are, because you know how much all the things you have to overcome, right? I mean, you got to overcome a lot of fear to become a loan officer right out of the gate. And if you don't have that drive, I mean, I'll hire an assistant with lower D.
Yep.
I have found I won't hire them all the way at the bottom. They need to be at least like 30 to 40%, because I have found if they're all the way at the bottom, you kind of have to kickstart them every day. Like they're not going to
They don't want to do anything.
they're not self-motivated, they're task oriented, but they won't be self, you know, and I need some, I don't have time to micromanage people. So that great job, Justin. That's awesome.
Elizabeth, how's your new team? So Elizabeth's up in Maine. She's growing like a weed. Just took on a new 3,000 square foot office, hired a big team. She's crushing it. So Elizabeth, how are things going with your team? What's going on in your world? What questions could you ask of Cindy now that you're growing this team?
I mean, I feel like everything's going really well so far. I think that my biggest thing is I'm also ID. So I do everything off from feeling and emotion and that kind of thing. So my biggest thing, I think, for our team is I have 3 women, and so myself included, and then I have two other women. They're both moms. I'm a mom. We all have kids kind of in the same age range, and just navigating like COVID and everything that's shutting down, and the emergency, like come get your kid because they were exposed at, 2 weeks ago at this, at this event. And so I would say that's probably our biggest challenge right now is I'm so desperate for normalcy so that I can really see how my team will function at full capacity. So I don't think that's any problems that you're going to solve with this.
It's a very real problem for sure. And then, you want to be supportive, right? Because you have to be. I mean, I've got, my director of my company, obviously was homeschooling 2 kids, and they've just gone back to school, but now she's got to pick them up in the middle of the day, and she's gone for an hour. It's such an interesting time where, before everyone was working in an office and it was much easier to navigate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. And so really, I mean, the biggest thing, as you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, is like we absolutely meet twice a week as a team on live.
Yeah.
We have to be on camera so that we keep people connected. We're sharing the vision. We're keeping people on track. People are checking in. And it's a very difficult road to navigate, Elizabeth. So I feel.
I have a question, Cindy.
Yes.
So as we move in towards the purchase market once again, and the low hanging fruit is gone, I think most of us know that it's very counterproductive to work with bad agents. So with that said, what qualities are you looking for in a good agent that you would want to actually partner up with?
Well, look, I'm all about this is a team sport, and I really want people that want to work as a team, because like one of my trainings that I do, this connection and conversion training, is 40 quality questions to ask a realtor in the first meeting. And so I got intentional about going into those meetings with not saying one word about, me, my company, my price, my product. Now that's very counterintuitive because we want to share that. But what was most important to me was building a relationship. And I found with having a different strategy to build relationship, 2 things would happen, Justin. One, like depending upon how they reacted to my line of questioning, the warm, kind people were just like, by the time we finished, they're like, oh my gosh, like you're amazing. And I never said one word. I mean, I have so many stories of what happened after those first meetings, but the ones that, you can just tell that energy. Like it was a filter for me of like, you're not my person. And so, one of the things I did get really clear on early in my career is to tell my agents, I need to tell you how we work. So I'm not going to let a realtor tell me how I have to work, because it's my team and this is my expertise and I want to work with them clearly, but it's all about pouring into them. So one of the things that, I don't know if you guys have MMI or access to look up, loan
Yes.
officers, their production. That's part of it. I also, though, Justin, I actually did work with a number of newer agents if they had that kind of personality factor and if they had good work ethic.
Yep.
Because most of them would do really well, within 3 to 5 years. And if you can get them while they're young and you can help them, they're like tied to you. They're much more loyal than the agents that you get. But I also find right now, well, one of the things I used to do, and even though my title rep would tell me he wasn't supposed to do this, but he always did it, is every year I would ask him to send me that MLS ranking of the top 100 realtors in my area. And he would always say, well, I'm not supposed to, but he would. And that would be great because then I would target every year, I would target 20 realtors that I liked. And I may not have strong referral partnerships with all of them, but I had 2 different camps. I had 20 realtors that I liked. Maybe I'd worked with them on the listing side. And I'm a big proponent. I have a whole strategy to go after listing agents. And then, I want a list of 20 people that I don't have a relationship that I want to be working towards building a relationship at all times. So on Mondays, and I went through the core and all that. And I went through the period for a while of call 40 agents every Monday. That's not really my thing. My thing is call 10 people and build a relationship. So I would split my list of 20 of people that I liked and worked with and had a relationship with, and I'd call 10 of them every Monday. So that realtor was getting a call twice a month. And then on Wednesdays, I would call 10 of the list, and my list would come from that MLS list. And I normally wouldn't pick like the top 10. I would pick like the next 20. I didn't overthink the list because they were all doing a lot of buy-side transactions. And I have several strategies about how to go after cold agents. But, I would call those with a value proposition of, hey, I've been following you for a while. And one of the best ways to get to new realtor partners is, and I did this, it's just part of my thing, but, request all of them on your social channels. So Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, kind of see what space they play in. Most realtors are either on Instagram or Facebook. And then I'd comment once a week. I wouldn't stalk them, but I would comment, not just like them, but you need to comment. And after a month, they're paying attention because they're responding back to you. And there's a woman, Sherry, here who runs a Keller Williams office, 250 agents. And this is how I built a relationship with her. I started stalking her on Facebook a little bit, commenting. About 30 days in, I picked up the phone and I called her. And I said, Sherry, clearly I've been following you around Facebook. I've been stalking you on social media, but I really like the way you show up. I like the things you share. I feel like we're aligned energetically. You seem like a very cool person. I don't know why I've never met you. We've been in the same town for a lot of years. Would you be open to grabbing lunch? Because I'd love to learn more about you and your business. And much to my surprise, she said, that would be great. I went to lunch with Sherry, used my connection to conversion first meeting strategy, which is 40 questions to ask a realtor. And I start going, and there's a methodology to when you ask what questions, it's meant to open them up safely and easily. And then we go into deeper questions. And my last question that I always ask is, what's one of the biggest challenges you've ever had to overcome? And that's where the gold is, because it's the last question, because I've already opened them up. They've already shared a lot of information. And that question, you guys, I can't even begin to tell you the responses I've gotten. Sherry told me in that meeting that the most tragic thing or difficult thing she ever had to overcome was losing her first child when he was 2 weeks old. And of course, being a mom, I got emotional and I said, do you mind if I ask what happened? I said, if you don't want to tell me. And she goes, no. So she told me he was born with a heart condition. And it was 30 years ago, but she went on to tell me how she went on to adopt a son because she had 2 girls. And it just bonded like this whole other energy because it's a very personal story. We were meeting with 2 male realtors that are partners. And one of those guys, I didn't even want to go to that meeting. And one of the guys said to me, well, I don't normally share this, but I was very abused as a child. And he started talking about what he had done to overcome that. And in reading the book, The Power of Now, it changed his life. And after he'd gone to 20 years of therapy, And I said, I love Eckhart Tolle. And we started talking about Eckhart Tolle and a new earth. And all of a sudden he's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad we came to this meeting because we met each other on a human level. We're building relationships. So really, I never really considered myself a mortgage expert. I mean, clearly I am and you are, but I consider myself a relationship expert. And it's about building strategies that help us connect more quickly and in a deeper way, because it's way more fulfilling to me to have a real relationship with a potential partner. And that meeting I had with Sherry, first meeting, and she has 250 agents in her office. 30 days later, she invites me to her Christmas party with 30 realtors and introduces me as her new best friend. Over, like a meeting with me asking quality questions that generated a human response. And the funny thing now is Sherry calls me when she's having personal challenges and she needs someone to vet to, and she needs some direction and advice. She'd be like, can I pick your brain over a glass of wine? I really need some Cindy time. And you're all coaches in your own right. So it's like pouring into other people. And look, it's all about our energy, right? Because if we're created the right energy within ourselves, we're going to attract that back to us. Be the people that people want to spend time with. And, we can train ourselves to do that through some really cool strategies. And that's for me, the fun part, because the relationship is what's rich about our business. Money is a byproduct.
Got it. Thank you.
Cindy, so if you can send me that email, team, I'm going to forward out a recording of this video plus all of her materials and Cindy's contact information. Feel free to reach out to Cindy directly with any questions. Cindy, I'm sorry, it's the top of the hour. And
I know we got to get going. I will send you an email. Two things really quickly, Eric. My two programs right now that we are taking reservations for, my Mortgage Mastermind Elite, which is primarily not all more branch managers, but I'd say 80% of the group is originating branch managers. That starts in March of 2022. It's already half full. I only take 12 people. And it's my favorite thing to lead. I'm very hands-on. Those are group calls, one-on-one calls, and 2 retreats a year. Very powerful growth. And I have many people that have been through the program, and you can go to mortgagemastermindelite.com to learn more. I'll send you a link. And then we're just taking deposits to hold spaces for that now. And then my Millionaire Mortgage Club, much less expensive. The MME program is just under $2,000 a month. My Millionaire Mortgage Club is a way to get indoctrinated, if you will, with me. And we have a program, Eric, that I literally am building out yesterday and today for you guys only. It's $397 a month for that program. We're going to do a 3-month kickoff starting in January, where I'm going to lead my 6 core trainings on how to build a team, how to build referral partnerships, connection to conversion, my top trainings for the first 3 months. I'm going to package it for you guys at $697 for all 3 months. I've never offered it that low before. But, and then it goes on, but you don't have to go on if you just want to do the 3 months worth of core trainings. But I'd love to offer that.
And you're going to put that in, you're going to put that information in the email for me?
Put it in the email. And my email personally is Cindy@CindyErtman.com, CindyErtman. If you want to reach out. I love doing strategy calls with people where it's not a pressure call. It's just like, how can I help you? And I serve you for 45 minutes and really do a deep dive on your business. So if you want to learn more or have a conversation about your business, or info@CindyErtman.com goes to my whole team to get that scheduled if you want to do a strategy call. So thank you, Eric.
No, absolutely. If I can just leave the team with one last thought, team, because things that I hear patterns, right? I talk to everybody and I hear a lot of the same things a lot of the time. And one of the things I hear is, Eric, hiring processors, hiring loan coordinators, hiring a team, like, costs a lot of money. And my response to that is, what does it cost you not to, right? It's not giving my processor a raise. What does that cost me, right? What does it cost you to lose a good processor, right? It's not, you got to look at it as the opposite. And so when I look at coaching, right, people say, well, paying for coaching, it's like, well, what does it cost you not to have the information? What does it cost you not to go to the next level?
If I lost my LOA, I would just roll up in a fetal position and.
And I've been there.
Justin, I hear you. Like that's the one thing we can't afford to do is to lose our key LOA. But to Eric's point, I always go, for $2,000 a month, how many loans do you have to do? When you look at somebody like Dan that went from doing 7 loans a month to 25 loans a month, or Tom who went from 40 to 132. I mean, it pays for itself 10 times over. And the key is you don't have to stay in coaching forever. I'm a big believer in like, take the practices, learn the new strategies, and now you have an arsenal of information that you can go back to over and over and over again when you need to hire somebody or if you need to build referral partnerships. So it's fun. And obviously I have very fond affection, a huge respect for Eric and your team, and would love to serve you in any way that I can. And I appreciate you, Eric, for inviting me onto the call. Really fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cindy. I appreciate
Thanks,
your time.
team. Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks, you
Bye,
all.
guys.
Thanks, Cindy.
Have a great
Eric,
day.
thank you.
Thanks. Bye.